I look forward to the 31st. I think that it won't be everything that we want, but I think we'll be doing our best to protect the needs of the people, unlike Republicans.
That's State Representative LaShawn Ford yesterday after a Democrat caucus where they go behind closed doors and talk about a variety of things, saying, hey, can't wait for May 31st. But is that going to be the end of this? We're getting some rumors around the Capitol that they could have to come back this summer to deal with what's going on in Washington, D.C., and how it will impact a state like Illinois. It's Illinois in Focus. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning as we bring you what's happening in the land of Lincoln. So yesterday, the Illinois House and Senate were in session. No talk about the budget. And a lot of different chess pieces moving on the board as to what's going on behind closed doors and, you know, what the minority party Republicans are trying to defend against, even though they don't have the majority to be able to do anything. I connected with State Representative Adam Niemerg before session yesterday and talked about what his understanding is of the status of the budget.
Well, I haven't heard anything about the budget. We're hearing rumors about what they're doing, a sales tax increase, a service tax increase. But the truth of the matter is that we're broke in the state of Illinois. The Democrats have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. When I came in, the budget was at $42 billion. Now we're looking at $56 billion.
So a lot of money expected to be spent. Is it going to be a $56 billion budget? Or are we going to see some trimming? Are we going to see tax increases? If there are tax increases, what's the cost going to be to constituents across the state of Illinois?
So I was thinking about that on the drive in and thinking as a state legislator, I don't know what the budget's going to be. I'll probably see it at midnight Saturday if we see it at all. But it looks like a tax increase for the folks in my district, and we have very little say-so in what happens here in Springfield on that issue. But we will keep pushing back, try to get answers, and try to make sure that we don't see a tax increase this year and continue to push back against the Democrats.
And how does that happen as Republicans have the super minority? What exactly are they going to do? How are they going to fight?
Well, floor speeches, news releases, public pressure, letting my district know what's going on. Obviously, you said it, we're in the super minority here, but it's a situation where we shine light on the issues. Like we have certain press conferences talking about overspending, talking about releasing Doge here in the state of Illinois. It's about shining a light on those issues, letting the people of the state of Illinois and folks in the districts that the Democrats are in are waking up to this and realizing, hey, we have a tax and spend problem. And don't forget, there are Democrats that care about the tax and spend problem. You see Fred Crespo that was stripped of all of his committee chairs and even kicked out of his own caucus because he's fed up with this mess. So things are starting to splinter in the Democrat Party, and we'll be here to help as much as we can to see what's going on, to tell the people of Illinois how much we're spending and what there is a tremendous amount of waste.
So you mentioned Fred Crespo. He is a Democrat state representative from Hoffman Estates. He's been with the legislature for years, and for years he's been one of the Democrat voices that's talking about the problems with creating new programs with lines in the bill saying subject to appropriation and then ultimately not getting any money appropriated for it. Crespo's talked about how that just is empty promises and ultimately can come back as audit findings for the legislature and for the various agencies where these new programs are started but not funded. So Crespo's been somebody who you might consider fiscally conservative, right? Well, he was last week or the week before kicked out of the Democratic caucus. He was a chair of an appropriations committee. He's been replaced by State Representative Bob Rita. Yesterday, during a legislative audit commission, which we'll actually touch on here in a moment, he was replaced as the co-chair for that bipartisan committee as well, and State Representative Bob Rita put in there. I've been trying to connect with Fred Crespo. I hope to connect with him at the Capitol today. We'll see if we can make that happen, and I'll share his comments with you. But Niemerg, State Representative Adam Niemerg, who we're hearing from now, praised Fred Crespo.
Well, it's really a shame because it shows that if anybody wants to talk about fiscal responsibility on the other side of the aisle, they're ostracized from their own party. It shows that the radical left is really in control of the mechanisms of power here in the state of Illinois, and that has to change.
So is Crespo possibly going to be a Republican? I don't know. Again, a question I'll ask him once I get to talk with him.
I'd love to see Fred become a member of the Republican caucus. He is a fiscal conservative, I like to say. Fred's also a really good guy. But seeing what the Democrat Party has done to him, where we could always use good people that understand that we spend too much money here in the state of Illinois.
And State Representative Adam Niemerg, obviously part of the Freedom Caucus as well. But I want to also give you the other side, right? That's what we do here. We try to get you all sides of the story. I connected with State's Representative LaShawn Ford, who we've had on the program live before, Chicago Democrat, and he was inside a Democrat House caucus where they've been meeting, surely talking about the budget and status of the budget. I had one source tell me all they talked about was that the budget working group, the Democrats behind closed doors crafting the budget, simply just said, hey, we worked all weekend, they said, and they didn't really get many updates, one source told me. But Ford, he talked on record about, what's going on, how this is coming together, where we're at, what's the status.
Well, I think that we have a good thing with Speaker Welch. Speaker Welch has a very good handle on the budget process, and I'm confident in his ability to help us get a compassionate budget.
What does a compassionate budget look like? Are there going to be tax increases to be more compassionate, as Ford says?
Oh, it's too early to tell, but I know that I'm confident in our leadership budget team and Speaker Welch's ability to negotiate with the Senate and the governor's office for a compassionate budget.
So others may be thinking, well, what about the taxpayers? Where's the compassion for them in a state where you've got some of the highest taxes, including property taxes and sales taxes, and you've got the possibility that they're going to tack on a service tax? Something we'll be watching, of course, before the end of the week. We'll find out. But we're also hearing rumors that legislators could possibly do some kind of stopgap funding measure to get through part of the summer and then see what happens with the Trump administration if they withhold funding from states like Illinois and what that's going to look like. And maybe the state will have to come back and pass another measure, and that would have to be sometime this summer. Is that what's going to happen? A question I asked to LaShawn Ford.
We just have to be ready at all times is what we're being told by Speaker Welch. Make no plans but to come back if he needs us.
And what would trigger that, you think?
Washington has us all in an uncertain state. We don't know what's going to happen with the Senate and the House, how they're going to come down on Medicaid and other cuts. So that's what we have to be vigilant of. And as Democrats, we want to support human services and protect, the seniors and the children and all the human services. So we're going to be ready to fight for human rights in Springfield.
And again, what does all this look like? The rest of the week, we'll obviously see the budget at some point. Is it going to actually come out today? And then they'll have committee hearings? I don't know. I've been covering the Statehouse now for like 11 years, and it always seems to be the last thing they bring up, and typically on the last day or the second to last day, well, actually on the last day, early in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, the House will pass it after a long debate, and then all of a sudden the Senate will come into session at like 10 in the morning, and then they'll pass it, and they'll go home for the summer. All of this obviously last minute without the taxpayers getting a real view of what is in that budget. So we'll be watching all of that. But yesterday at the State House, they also had a whole host of other things going on, including a legislative audit commission. Now, this is a truly bipartisan commission that's equal parts Democrat, equal parts Republican. All right, so you have to have bipartisan support for, say, an audit resolution to pass. They did have this, or at least there may have been a Democrat not there that allowed for Republicans to advance it. But if you recall, the audit of the HBIA and HBIS, that's the Health Benefits for Immigrant Seniors and Adults programs, that showed that taxpayer subsidies for non-citizens to get health care coverage ballooned on $1.6 billion over like 3 years, and there were all kinds of internal reporting errors. So clearly, the Legislative Audit Commission is an important commission. Well, they met yesterday. They meet once a month, and first off, it was revealed that Fred Crespo was no longer the co-chair of the commission, but they heard from a military agency within the state government, and there was some conversation about audit findings. But when you get to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources from yesterday's commission hearing, the audit was not flattering at all.
This means that while we obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence, the misstatements, individually or in the aggregate, were both material and pervasive to the subject matter. To such an extent, we expressed an adverse opinion, pursuant to the codification of statements on standards for attestation engagements, pursuant to which our compliance examinations are conducted. There were 37 total findings in this compliance examination.
The audit findings before you are reflective of fiscal years 21 and 22. In January 2023, I was honored to accept Governor Pritzker's appointment as IDNR Director. And in May of that year, March of that year, I came before this commission for IDNR's fiscal years 2019 and 20 audits. At that time, I shared with you the same message that I convey to my team. Fixing recurring audit findings is a critical priority. We are committed to ensuring transparency, meeting the rules of compliance, and improving processes.
There's some talk in southern Illinois as we looked at Cahokia Mounds and the Fort Charters, Fort Kaskaskia, and maybe trying to broker into a federal park system and the revenue that could bring in.
When you're looking at over $1 billion of deferred maintenance, I don't think we're in a position to be choosy and to be prideful and say, no, these are ours, we're holding on to these. If there's a better way to do it and the federal government can come in, make it a national park, we're open to that conversation. We'll be compliant and helpful.
So sometimes these legislative audit commissions don't just share news of audits. There's also some other news items in there as well about, for instance, looking at having the federal government make like Cahokia a national site that's maintained by the federal government and not so much by the state. Maybe that'll shore up some of the financial issues at IDNR. But some of the things, like they said in the audit, was mishandling of historical artifacts and fund reporting and such. You want, obviously, your government to be efficient and true in how they report things, but clearly these audits are I love reading audits. I don't know why. There's something about it. You can go to the Illinois Auditor General's website, just look up Illinois Auditor General, and you'll find the audit reports link, and there is just so much reading stuff. If you're into that type of really dense, true revelation of what some government agencies are doing in the state of Illinois, definitely read some of those audits. All right, something else, too, before we get out of here. There was some conversation about ending anti-Semitism and hate crimes. You had several state legislators get together yesterday for a news conference led by State Senator Laura Fine, talking about the issue of anti-Semitism and how she's urging people to fight that with compassion for everybody.
Anti-Semitism undermines the very fabric of our democracy, dividing communities, normalizing extremism, and giving permission to violence. We must respond with urgency. We need to meet this moment. I know that many people have been silent because they don't know what to say or do. So I offer you a simple charge. The way to push back against hate is to communicate with empathy.
We're asking you to join the fight. According to the FBI, 68% of victims of religious hate crimes in 2023 were Jewish, despite Jews making up only 2.4% of the U.S. population. That is why we're asking you today to join the Stop the Hate campaign. We must spread awareness of the scope and impact of anti-Semitism.
Right now, we're
just some of the things they're talking about at the State House. But again, where's that budget at? It's the main thing that state legislators are supposed to do every spring session. It's always the last thing. They've had 5 months. Could they have done this in April? They did it 1 year. They got out early. I think that was like a post-COVID session where everybody was like, just take a deep breath. But we'll be on the grounds at the Capitol today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, get the podcast where you get podcasts, Illinois in Focus, and you can also get the headlines at the Center Square. Sign up for the newsletter today. I'm Greg Bishop. Follow me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air.